When you were coming in the 80s, now, was it just strictly business? Did you get the opportunity to travel to some of the islands while you were out here?
Of course, because when you do business, you start meeting people, you start making friends, and then, of course, people said, why don't you come over the weekend? So we came on Thursdays, did our business on Thursdays and Fridays, and Saturdays we just left.
Were you going to like Phuket, Koh Samui, or some of the islands around
Well, you must
Bangkok?
see in the early 80s, Phuket, Samui were completely underdeveloped. Samui didn't have an airport. Phuket had nothing. There was only Patong Beach. That was basically one strip at the beach. There was one single hotel called the Patong Beach Hotel. Mm-hmm. The rest was bungalows. And then no other beach was developed at the time. So first direction was always Pattaya, right? Because Pattaya at that time was already a tourist spot, let's put it this way, whereas the other places were completely underdeveloped.
Was there even an airport in the Phuket in the 80s?
There was a small strip. Okay. Yes, you can call that airport. It's a bit like Samui in the old days.
Okay.
But no comparison to our days.
I'm assuming the airport still would have been up in the Nai area.
Yeah, it was also in the north. Yeah.
And then how were you coming to Phuket in the 80s or still kind of staying?
No, I came to Phuket in the 80s.
So how, I mean, imagine landing in Nai in the 80s and then making your way down to Patong. Like, what was the road like? Was there a highway? Was it a dirt road?
No, it was more or less one single asphalt road and the rest was dirt roads. Yeah.
That's crazy. And now, was it this beach road here or would you have to go out through the highway? Or if you can recall back.
There was no highway. There was a simple asphalt road. I think it was even one that didn't even go further than Patong.
Okay.
Right? So Karon was not developed. Kata was not there. Rawai, all this wasn't there. There was all jungle.
So you'd be kind of taking this single road right into Patong.
Right into Patong.
Now, 2 lanes, 1 lane?
2 lanes.
Okay. Because I know I've been to El Nido and Palawan years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago. And when you land in, have you been to El Nido or Puerto Princesa in the Philippines?
Yes.
I was there 6 years ago and you had to land. I landed in Puerto Princesa and then we took a bus up to El Nido. And even in that time, 6 years ago, they're making the road by hand. And the bus would literally have to, when they're doing that type of white concrete?
Yeah.
And you have to pull over. I'm trying to like visualize if that's kind of like what Phuket was or if it was still established.
It was exactly the same. I mean, I was in the Philippines also in the 80s, flying to Cebu and going to Boracay. Exactly the same. They just put simple cement on dirt roads. There's no structure underneath.
Yeah.
So with the climate we have here, it's breaking up very quickly. So you can imagine the condition of the road. But at least it was an asphalt road, you know, where everything else was dirt roads.
If you enjoyed this content, we're doing 5 clips like this a week. If you want to watch the full podcast, click here.